Hey everybody's Durger time. Welcome back to another episode of TEW 2020 NXT Arrives. We got some plans we got to do because Bo Dallas is leaving in 12 days, and I think our next pay-per-view is not until 22. So actually, our very first pay-per-view technically. We obviously in the save we just came off of NXT Arrival, but we will be doing NXT Takeover for the first time. So that will be pretty exciting. Now, I did some tests and experiments because some of the things about the developmental brand was kind of irritating to me, and one of which was the random call-ups, because as we can see, Sin Cara's leaving, Regal's leaving, Noble's leaving. A lot of this just has to do with whether they're considered ready or not whether WWE needs them. So that's definitely going to change the dynamic because I do not know how long we're going to have some wrestlers. I also found that while doing some experiments that unfortunately WWE was very, very slow on sending us anybody because they didn't really hire that much in developmental. So my concern is that this type of save would end with us having under 16 people in the company, because apparently we can't even hire our own. If we hire our own people, they never leave NXT, which is kind of cool because we could have people that are just like NXT forever. Like I kind of wish we did that with like a Sami Zayn and we just permanently had someone down there. But what that really means is that we're not going to be able to hire developmental talent. So what I kind of came up with is I think what we're going to do is maybe every 2 months in game, what we're going to do is we're going to do an extra live stream. And I'm going to play as WWE for like a day or so. And we're going to hire a bunch of people for a developmental contract. We're going to add a new class to NXT. So we'll hire about maybe anywhere between 6 to 10 people each time. We'll send them down to NXT, and then we'll remove the second player as WWE, and we'll continue as normal. So we'll probably do that live, and I'll have you guys that watch live kind of be the scouting talent and kind of decide who you want. Generally, we'll have some rules over who we hire, which is like we'll have a maximum of, only so many, like current indie levels. They have to be under a certain level of popularity. They have to be, young. We'll have like a rotation of what the rules are for each cycle. So we'll always have an influx of newer people. And it'll make it really interesting because unfortunately I don't see us being able to have situations where we have big names in NXT, not unless we turned it into a third brand and just played it that way, which is not the point of the game. It's not the point of the save. We're trying to play it, and it's a pretty difficult playthrough where we're trying to play as that child company. So it's going to end up being a very different NXT. It'll be interesting to see how it goes and what happens. But enough with the diatribe and kind of the play-by-play there. Let's go ahead and let's move over to our next episode of NXT Wrestling. All right. Do have some news here. Oh, boy. Got a lot of call-ups again. Again, just ripping out everybody in this save. Sarah Del Rey, who's backstage as a road agent, is getting called up. Albert, who's a road agent, is getting called up. Dusty Rhodes, who's a road agent, getting called up. And Tyson Kidd getting called up. They're just ripping everybody they can from NXT here. I don't know what we're going to be left with at a certain point, but I guess that's kind of the interesting part is seeing who we have left. The Tyson Kidd hurts. The others are whatever. Seem unnecessary to pull them up to begin with, but I suppose that is what it is. Kind of a bummer. No backstage incidents to worry about. We can do some locker room controls. Meddling probably would not be a bad idea. Maybe somebody like a Baron Corbin. See if we can get somebody As a loner, probably not going to get much out of this here. So, yeah, probably not going to get much out of any of these guys, honestly. Maybe Yoshitatsu. A chance of failing. Yeah, no. Professional. I don't remember which one it is that is more likely to mentor, but it would be nice to have some type of reasonable success, creating strong friendship. Sure. Nah, didn't work. I mean, having some kind of friendship would not be bad. All right, we are going to be in Full Sail. Let's pull it up now. That's the other thing we can do is we can, as playing WWE, increase the venue or alter it. So we might do that on the every 2 months when we kind of deal with the backstage backroom drama. Would not be a bad idea. All right, let's book the show. I think we need to have a Bo Dallas title match. Because I don't think he's going to last in another 6 days, because we have be 1 week from now. So this will be Bo Dallas's last hurrah in NXT. Tyson Kidd, it's got a month, but boy, does that suck. That's a bummer. And then what had everyone said was that actually technically Kevin Owens is ours. Because we hired him, and even though he's a non-exclusive, so I might just bounce that contract out, and because that seems a little cheaty. Though I do like the idea of having people permanently in NXT. It's really not the point of it. All right, let's go ahead and let's book the show, and we'll be back to give you the idea of what's happening. All right, guys, we are ready for another episode of NXT. Let's see what we have going on the show. We have Tyler Breeze in action for the first time since a triple threat against a, not local talent, but, an up-and-comer. But the big thing is Tyler Breeze is going to be in action. And in our main event, we have a NXT championship match between Neville versus Bo Dallas with the stipulation of if Bo Dallas loses, he has to leave NXT. So let's go ahead and let's get to the show. We start off with 2 pre-show matches just to give some talent some time to just work and develop, something that we're going to have to work on doing. We might start doing some house shows too, just send them out there. We'll have to look at if that's financially viable at this point. It had a decent reaction from the crowd. It had subpar wrestling, though. The Revival defeat everybody. It's an elimination tag match. It was Braun Strowman and Ty Dillinger first, then CJ and Yoshitatsu. Just kind of a mix. I wanted to see what Braun was up to. Unfortunately, Scott Dawson had to get limited involvement because he has a swollen ankle. But, that is what it is. Actually, the injury that Scott Dawson worked on took a big toll. So we tried to keep him with limited involvement so not to hurt him too much. Give him some time to rest. Wanted to see what Braun was looking at, and it's not great. We had to develop him, certainly, and so that's going to be probably a mission for us, is can we boost up a Braun Strowman and see how he can develop. Everybody else is about right. Ty Dillinger, 43. I would not be shocked if they end up pulling Ty Dillinger up to the main roster very soon, too, and leave us with nobody. Which is why we have to build up some of this younger talent, because Braun might be our next star, and we need to build him. We also have Mason Ryan versus Camacho. So, kind of an interesting, weird one of, I don't think, we must have had them in a match before, because they didn't debut their gimmicks, but I don't remember actually using them for anything. Camacho, obviously, I believe is actually Tongaloa now in New Japan. For a brief stint was in NXT. And so we still have him. His interim performance isn't great. But again, that might be our future talent that we're working with. So, and Mason Ryan is 29. It's not bad. Camacho defeats actually Mason Ryan in submission. It had a decent reaction, but terrible wrestling. Got a 24. That's the end of our pre-show, and that brings us into our actual show, which starts with Charlotte. That's in the wrong spot. We'll cut that, move that around. So we start to show off with an interview with Sami Zayn and Renee Young. And, Sami's just getting an interview talking about his road to redemption, says that he's ready to take the NXT Championship as a match. And, he seems to want to go through some hurdles. And he seems upset about having lost some matches, some big matches previously. He says his next big hurdle is Tyler Breeze, who's in action tonight. And he's scouting him to try to understand really what he needs to do. But he's confident that he can show he has what it takes and ultimately challenge his friend for the title. And, it does pretty okay. It's a 38, which ain't too bad. We lose some heat from the segment, though, for his storyline. And obviously Sami does have a groundswell of public support, though. And we got the crowd hotter with the angle, though, ultimately. After that, we have Tyler Breeze in action, and it's a weird rating here. We had Tyler Breeze had a 36. Travis Tyler had a 21. And Tyler Breeze obviously defeats Travis Tyler in 3 minutes, just giving him kind of a domination match. Why is it a 17? Penalized for holding back, psychology. Yeah. Penalized for odd face heel combination. Maybe that is what hit us there. Kind of a weird, poor rating for having such a strong in-ring performance. But we do have a strong face-heel divide that we probably have to pay attention to. So I think I was not paying attention to that, and that kind of hurt us. But Tyler gets a good squash match, ultimately, and should have been a higher rating. Maybe we should have paid attention to the heels and faces a little bit better. But again, getting some credibility for Tyler Breeze. Afterwards, we have backstage Leo Kruger playing again with a dangerous knife, this time not in the locker room, but just sort of in like a boiler room. And he says, I struck my target, and I'll strike again until I have a trophy from that hunt. Bull. You think you're a big man on campus, but you never really experienced a true challenge. You're simply a bloated fish in a tiny, insignificant pond. At TakeOver, I'm going to show you why beasts in the wild fear me, and I'll get a trophy from your corpse. Kind of suggesting he's going to murder Bull Dempsey. Kruger had a interesting kind of like big game hunter character, like unhinged, before he became Adam Rose. And I think we're going to stick with Kruger. I think the big game hunter is a little bit more interesting than the party animal. As much as I actually really liked the Adam Rose character, I thought they did some interesting stuff with him until he got to the main roster. Kruger gets a 33 in the segment, does pretty well, got the crowd hotter once again. And we have Lucha Dragons versus Blake and Murphy. Still gotta get a picture from Murphy. I don't know why Buddy Murphy does not have one. But Lucha Dragons defeat Blake and Murphy in 9 minutes. Kalisto gets the pin. And Sin Cara obviously was head and shoulders above everybody else. Sin Cara leaving us. And pretty vocal crowd, not happy with Wesley Blake. And it was poorly placed. They were already hot, did not need working, which I did not realize I had it as a work the crowd match. I probably should have changed it to something else. Ultimately, though, Kalisto gets the win. Ends up looking pretty good out there. 32 is not too shabby either. Afterwards, Kalisto grabs a microphone. It says that ultimately he's going to be flying alone now, and he wants to thank Sin Cara for all the time he's worked with him, and vows that one day he will become NXT champion. Sin Cara and Kalisto shake hands. So kind of the tag team dissolves. Because obviously Sin Cara is going to be leaving soon. It doesn't make sense for Kalisto to like turn on Sin Cara and go heel. So instead we have a nice friendly departure as Kalisto joins the singles division, which could be interesting. We'll have to see what we can do with that. Oh boy, this is a bad match. Our tournament for the NXT Women's Division does not go well. Oh man. Charlotte versus Emma. Uh, Charlotte defeats Emma in 6 minutes by submission, and holy crap. Charlotte had a 10, Emma had an 18. We got a 13 for this. This is bad, a real bad match. Holy crap. And in our main event, we have Neville versus Bo Dallas, rating much higher than that previous match. It's decent wrestling, great heat. Neville defeats Bo Dallas in 14 minutes by pinfall. That does a corkscrew shooting star press and makes defense number 1 of the NXT heavyweight title. Ultimately, Bo has to leave. And obviously, we end the show with Bo Dallas's departure as he looks sullen, tries to plead to the audience that he should stay, but the crowd continually kind of chanting at him to leave and forcing him away from NXT. Gets us a 38, which is not too shabby. Our company rating is something like a 22, so we need to just be like 7 points ahead, which we definitely are. Ends up giving us a pretty good popularity boost. So even though there's some parts here that were not too great, we ultimately did have a pretty good main event, which helped us boost that rating up, and ultimately a pretty decent show. NXT Wrestling Report was mainly positive. Company won many friends. Bobby Lashley also hurt. That's unfortunate. Got some news. More of the call-out warnings. It's the same ones. So got a .07, which is not too shabby. So not too bad. Neville's got... why are you upset? Oh, incident with him. Still a little morale issues there. Not a big deal. So overall, not too shabby of a show. That gives us a departure for Bo Dallas, which we could probably kill that storyline now. We'll need something else in its place, unfortunately, because I don't think we have that many that are considered hot. Ascension, Big Game's hot. Actually, we're okay right now. Baron Corbin, we got to do something with. So overall, kind of a mixed bag of a show. Our women's division really hurting in terms of performance. I don't know if we're big enough to do house shows. Where is that? It's not broadcasting. House shows. I think we are actually not currently eligible to use house shows, or too small, which is kind of unfortunate, just simply because we could really use the training for them, because we really want those wrestlers to start to develop a lot better and a lot quicker, and unfortunately they're not going to be able to really do that on here right now. We're still at 22s all around. Except for Tri-State, we have a big bump for some reason. So still considered tiny, not even small. Still going to be a while to get over to there. Though, from the last month, we moved up by 2 points. So not too shabby. Really, if we can get a really good takeover, I think we can probably boost our ratings pretty significantly. We have takeover in 15 days. We have another episode of... I think we have 2 episodes of NXT Wrestling to go through, so we'll have to finish up the women's tournament in one of those, and kind of maybe build up some new storylines to maybe not do in TakeOver, but build up after the fact. Anyways, guys, that was NXT Arrives. Again, be on the lookout for after every 2 months or so, we'll do a live stream to kind of bring some new talent in, and we'll do like a little scouting party. So keep a lookout for that. But thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.